Let me tell you something. Anytime you feel like things are tough for you, anytime you feel like it's never going to get better, the one thing you should never lose is the belief in yourself and the possibility that God can step in anytime in your life. You must submit yourself to the belief of a higher power, of something that is beyond you, because it's not everything in life that you have total control. You know, we're living in one of the most complex and exciting times in the history of humanity, but also one of the most anxiety-driven and anxious-generating time. If you watched the news last week, Amazon laid off 16,000 people. Over the last 3 years, the tech industry alone has laid off, I think, over 500,000 people, right? Microsoft laid off 14,000 in December, and all of them are laying off people. And the natural question you're asking yourself, yes, on one hand, they're talking about the advent of AI. AI is going to make things efficient. AI is going to change the world like it's never been seen. But on the other hand, you have people losing their jobs because of AI. And the natural human question you would have on your mind, just like me, is how are these people going to survive? What's going to become of them? And I want to talk to you a little bit about that because I've been that route before. I've been down that road of uncertainty, that road when you feel like nothing good can happen, that road when you feel you see light, then all of a sudden the rock is pulled under your feet, right? And I want to remind you, if you're going through something like that right now, I don't know who you believe in, and truly I could care less. I just hope you believe in somebody, a supreme power. In my case, I'm a Christian and I'm not imposing that on you, but I believe in God, right? And I was listening to this Christian song and the guy says, you know what? There is nothing God cannot do, because whatever his word is, whatever his commitment he has made, he has always delivered on that, right? I'm not a pastor by any chance, and today is not a sermon, but I want to remind somebody out there that it is still possible, that it might be looking dark today, but tomorrow is going to be a better day. But in this time of significant complexity, speed of information, in this time of great uncertainty, when the world seems to be going forward in advancing in technology, people are making more money, but more people too are losing their jobs. The wealth gap is widening. How do you position yourself? How do you make sure the wave doesn't leave you behind? Of course, I'll be doing another live video sometime during the week about how to position yourself to benefit from the growth of AI, both investing in AI and also learning the AI skills that are relevant to move you forward. But you know what? I want to remind you about something, and it's something I really believe is very important to pay attention to. You know, in this time and age, it is easy to be negative. It is easy to beat yourself and convince yourself that what is working for other people, you will never get that break in life. I truly believe that every human being at some point will get a break. The important thing is that as you get older in your life, especially if you are after the age of 30, 40, you must realize that life is a series of seasons. There is a season where you prepare the field, where you plant. There is a season where you are nurturing and throwing manure, watering the plant and pushing it to get bigger and get healthier and grow healthily. There is a season when you tend to harvest what you have planted. And then there is a season when you would plant, you would do all the right things, but you also have to recognize that some of your harvest will be wonderful and bountiful. There is another percentage of that harvest that will just not work out just by the very nature of science. There is also a percentage of that harvest that wild birds and different circumstances are going to take. And so in the season, if today is that season of anxiety for you, if today is that season of lack of belief in yourself, I just wanted to add my voice to the other voices that might be speaking to your ear to remind you that truly you are enough. That what brought you this far might not be able to take you to where you want to go, but whatever the circumstance is right now, that is a pit stop for you to stop. Maybe do an oil change in that car of life. Maybe get more gasoline in your car. Maybe clean out the car a little bit. And this is your life. Gasoline is getting some more training. cleaning out your car, is reviewing your life and looking at some of the things that are not serving you as well as they used to serve you, and start making that honest evaluation and throwing some of those things out. Hey, if you make good money but you're tired of living on autopilot, watching your income disappear every month with nothing substantial to show for, this is where you finally learn how to turn income into assets, assets into growth, and growth into long-term wealth. You see, most people never get there because they lack clarity and strategy. They earn, they spend, and they hope for growth. But hope alone is not a wealth building strategy. Because if you're tired of wondering where your money went each month, or frustrated that your investments are not working as hard for you as you would like them to work, then this is for you. The Wealth, Clarity, and Legacy Blueprint webinar should be your number one priority. You know why? Because you're going to get a clear picture of your finances. You're going to learn how to structure your money in such a way that growth and protection becomes a natural outcome of that investment. You are going to see how to start investing with very low capital and walk away with a 90-day wealth plan you can actually execute right now, not tomorrow, not next week. I will also get you some worksheets and you have access to the replay of their training, so you are not rushed and can implement properly, because this takes a little bit of time. By the end of this 90-minute live session, you are going to walk away with clarity, control, and a practical roadmap to make your money work for you, so you can stop guessing and start growing your wealth. If this makes sense to you, click the link in this video description. Save your seat, because there are very limited seats at the Wealth, Clarity, and Legacy Blueprint webinar, and start becoming the financially confident, in control, and growing version of yourself you've always aspired to be. Your clarity begins today, and you know what? Your legacy starts right now. So I will see you on the inside. You know, one of the beautiful things about what I do and why I love my job is that each time I'm coaching somebody, or I'm talking to a group of people, or maybe I'm presenting, I'm doing public speaking somewhere, all of those things I talk to you, at first I am talking to myself. Everything I'm talking to you, I'm reminding myself too, and reinforcing those things in my mind and in my spirit, so I can continue to get better too. You might be younger listening to me right now. I'm going to be 49 in March. I've been down that road. I have filed for bankruptcy. I have foreclosed on 2 homes. I've been at the height of my success in life, and I have crashed economically and had to start my life all over. During that time, it was difficult. I felt beaten. I felt discouraged. There were times I felt depressed. But you know, the one thing I never gave up on was the fact that what took me to that point in my life, what brought me the success I had registered at that point in my life, I can still replicate that, but now not from scratch, but from a place of experience, and I can do even better. Let me tell you something. Anytime you feel like things are tough for you, anytime you feel like it's never going to get better, the one thing you should never lose is the belief in yourself and the possibility that God can step in anytime in your life. You must submit yourself to the belief of a higher power, of something that is beyond you, because it's not everything in life that you have total control. I know that we live in a time when you are always encouraged. You must be in control of everything. You must be in control of your money. You must be in control of your investments. I teach people how to invest on the stock market. I teach people how to build wealth through real estate. I teach people how to find their purpose, leverage that purpose, and build a life of meaning and bequeath a lasting legacy. But in that process, I also teach people to understand that there's a percentage of your life you have no control over. There's a percentage of your life that you must recognize. No matter how hard you plan, you organize yourself, these things will happen. You are going to get fired at some point from a job. If you didn't prepare, understanding that in the years when you were working, you were also saving some grain in the barn, understanding that there will be the season of abundance, like the Bible says, and there will be seasons of lack, if you remember that Bible story, where he saw 7 healthy looking cows and he saw 7 hungry looking cows. And when that dream was being interpreted, it was interpreted as the 7 healthy cows is 7 seasons of abundance and 7 seasons of lack for the hungry looking cows. You need to understand this is the pattern and the process of life. A friend of mine asked me the other day, Gustav, with everything going on, how this was in December, And with everything going on, Donald Trump is making all these big decisions, things companies are letting people go, money is tight, this, that. How do you see next year? I said, probably about the same as this year. And he looked at me confused and he said, why do you say so? Aren't you seeing all the things happening? I said, well, nothing will change until you change. And that is one of the messages I have for you today. Nothing is going to change until you change. Nothing is going to change until you flip your perception of what is happening. Nothing will change for you until you sit back and do an honest evaluation of where your responsibility for improving and influencing what is happening to you starts and ends, and you start focusing on those responsibilities. Nothing will change. Trust me, I feel bad for the people who've been laid off from companies like Amazon. But you know what? Because I understood how life works, I used to work for a top technology company too, like Amazon. I know that at some point you're going to get those problems of lack of work or getting thrown off out of job. The way I prepared for those times is number one, I kept improving the skills that are in it and around the area of my strength. I kept working on my purpose, which is the ability to communicate, to shift your mind, to believe not only in yourself, but to also make the sacrifices and take the steps that it takes to prepare your life in a way that at no point in your life you will be in a situation of vulnerability. In that process also, I was investing in assets, both on the stock market, buying land and buying properties while I was making good money, because I knew that there is a time in my life when I might not be able to make that kind of money, when I might not be able to generate that kind of income. And in that time of my life, I must have something I could fall back to. I know that when I talk to young people about investing, when I talk to young people about living below your means, saving some of your money and investing some, people always tell me, you know what, life is to be lived. YOLO, you only live once. I understand all of that. But in that process, you must recognize what happens to you when you lose a job. What happens to you when maybe you don't have enough cash flow coming into your life every month? What happens to you if there's an emergency in your family? What happens to you if you have an accident with your car? What happens to you if you have some health bills? Do you have the means to handle some of those shocks and difficult moments in life? In this life we are living, the things that are going to transform your life the most are not things that are visible, are things that are in your mind. Let me tell you something that Dale Carnegie said. And I want you to listen to this very carefully. Let me read that quote from the great Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie is certainly one of the early billionaires. He said, I am no longer cursed by poverty because I took possession of my own mind. And that mind has yielded me every material thing I want and much more than I need. But this power of mine is a universal one, available to the humblest of persons as it is to the greatest. The power of the mind. Let me tell you guys, I experienced something when I was going through a significant difficulty in my life. At that point, I had completely lost on everything I had built for the first 10 years in my life in America. I went to do a business in Africa. Things didn't work out. I had to come back after 3 years. I filed for bankruptcy. I paid over 100,000 to the bankruptcy court. I had a home and a rental property. I foreclosed on that home and my rental property. I actually had knee surgery at that time, so for 2 months I couldn't even walk upon my return. I was home. I needed help to go to the bathroom and pee and everything. And I had a chance to reflect upon my life. And I realized something during that time. The first assignment I had was to fight with my mind, to wrestle with my mind, to stand up in my spirit and tell my mind to sit down anytime it tries to rain doom and gloom upon my destiny. I didn't have to fight with nobody. I didn't have to fight with no economic circumstance. I didn't have to fight with no job circumstance yet. I didn't even have to worry how I was going to make money yet. I had to worry first about the thoughts that were running in my mind. Those thoughts challenging me. Those thoughts telling me that you know who you thought you were. Those thoughts telling me that I am not enough. Those thoughts telling me that you were just a fluke. You are not what you think you are. You don't have the ability. You don't have the capacity. You don't have what it takes to be what you believe you can be. But you know what? Even though I'm still a work in progress, but I'm no longer where I used to be. Because I worked on that mind, like Dale Carnegie said. And everything else you are going to get for your life will come mostly from what you perceive in your mind. Do you see it first? I had seen these days sitting on a live stream like this and impacting people the last 20 years of my life. I didn't know what medium it was going to be, whether it's going to be live stream, but I knew deep in me that I am born, and a big part of my destiny and my purpose is to influence people to do better with their own lives. The question was, when was I willing and ready to start dedicating my life to that mission, that sole mission, and that mission only on nothing? So I want to talk to you today about the power of not giving up on yourself even when difficulties come. This is going to be a difficult season for people who are in America. People are going to lose their jobs with the technological advent of AI. People are going to lose their source of income. But the beauty is that there are other alternative ways of making money, that if you work on your mind to make sure you don't slip into depression and dejection, you'll be able to see the rainbow behind the clouds. That is exactly what I did for myself when I returned from Africa, broke, completely annihilated, filed for bankruptcy, paid over 100,000 to the courts, foreclosed on 2 homes. You know what happened? I started working on my mind. I told myself, Gustav, there got to be something that you are good at and you can deliver on with the level of excellence that nobody else can compete with you on this earth on. And I committed to myself that until I get to that point in my life, I will not give up on that dream. If the journey of that dream is going to take me through the valley, it's going to take me through the dark forest, it's going to take me through roads of short-term shortage of income, it's going to take me through sacrificing careers that could pay me 6 figures, I have to pursue that. I am not making any recommendation to somebody about what they need to pursue in their life. But I am telling you that you must strengthen your mind, your spirit, and you must figure out a way to continue to work on those gifts that come natural to you. Because even when you have a job in the new economy we are in, you are going to lose your job 4 times before you retire, and you're going to change careers 4 times, and you're going to change jobs 7 times. That is the study for the generation behind us. That is what studies say. That the generation who are in their 20s right now, by the end of their careers, they would have changed careers 4 times and they will change jobs 7 times. So you must be mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically ready. You must also be financially ready. Hey guys, have you been wondering how you could chat with me one-on-one just to talk on your aspirations, your career, your business, and the things you might dream about with your life and you would really like to do with your life? I know it's been a challenge because a lot of people have been sending me inbox messages, asking me questions and asking me how they could get to me. That has been answered for you. I've created a one-on-one program where you can actually book a time. You look in the link in the description. You can book a time and have a one-on-one conversation with me for 30 minutes for a very small fee. If you look down in the description of this video, you will find that information, and go ahead and book a time and let's have a conversation. One of the most important things I teach in my courses, one of the most important things I use to coach my clients, the things I teach on my YouTube channel, my Facebook channel, I teach people about proper ability to invest. The only way you can be financially sustainable in the mid to long run is if you invest your money. You save your money, it's a good thing, but inflation is going to wipe it out. You must figure out a way to invest your money safely so that it grows over time. There is no other way you are going to come out of the financial quagmire you might be in without investing your money. But for you to be able to invest your money, you must also be organized with your finances. You must be the person who has committed to themselves to spend less than they make. You must be the person who has committed to themselves to sit with themselves and figure out and identify the important things in their lives, the things that moves the needle, the things that give them genuine contentment, the things that are important and necessary in their life. You must figure out what is it that gives you your true joy, not what it looks like joy by the virtue of the other person you are seeing. Do you know that in this time we are living, I was watching Macron the other day on TV, and he was talking about the fact that they are trying to pass a law in France to ban cell phones to children below the age of 15. I said, you know what? It should even be banned for some adults too. You know why? Because today, more than ever before, there are thousands, millions of people who are depressed, frustrated with their lives because they look on social media and their neighbor or their friend's life seems to be better. Their friend seems to be happier, and they start chasing the things that their friend or their family members they think is making their family members or their friends happy, and they forget to find it in themselves. What is it that gives them true joy? What is it that is your own purpose? What is it that is your own gift that comes to you naturally, that you can keep fine-tuning, working on it, and nobody can ever fire you from that? What is that thing? If you have not been working on that, make sure you start working on that right now. Because this economy we are in this time we are living, you will be called upon to lead. You will be called upon. You will need that. At some point, you must be able to figure out how to generate income by the sweat of your hand without necessarily being employed by somebody. And I want you to understand me very well. I am a pro-jobs guy. I understand the importance of jobs, but I want you to also realize that one of my jobs is to tell you about what is coming. Where the world is today, where the economy is today, job security is the new job insecurity. The days of working for the same company for 25, 30 years, retiring, getting a gold Rolex, and going home is past and long gone. It's no longer going to happen like that. So you must figure out, you must have your own plan. The company you are working for, they have a plan for that company. Your manager has his own plan. Your employer have their own plans, and a big part of their plans in case of an emergency doesn't include you. Sir, madam, let me be honest with you. What is your own plan for your life? I remember a few years ago, my daddy passed away, and we were going to lay him to rest in Cameroon. And during that time, I actually took 2 days off from my work. At that time, I was working for a top technology company. And I took 2 days out of my work, and I was heading to Washington, D.C. to make some arrangements to go lay my dad to rest. And as I was driving towards the Cameroon embassy, I got a call from my manager. I picked up the phone, and my manager I said, hi, Bob. He said, hello, Gustav, how are you? I said, I feel blessed today. It's an awesome day to be alive. And he said, yeah, Gustav, I totally understand. I know it's an awesome day to be alive, but you know, I'm sorry, I got bad news for you. I said, Bob, what's going on? He said, you know, I got to let you go. And I want you to understand this. I just had lost my father, my hero, the person I'm looking up to 2 weeks before. And I'm actually driving to go make arrangements to go lay him to rest. I felt this rush of anger rise over my body, and I had to clear my car off the road. And I laid my head in my hand, and I was panicking. I'm like, Gustav, now you not only lost your daddy, you're going to lay him to rest, but you're going to be coming back without a job. How are you going to take care of your family? How are you going to take care of your children? How are you going to take care of your mortgage? Your wife is in school. All these expenses that have piled up. And I felt frustrated with my employer, but for a second, I had to remind myself that, Gustav, don't be a child here. Be grown, be an adult. Step up and stand up on your own feet. You gave them permission to feed you, so you are giving them authorization to starve you. You got to be honest with yourself. And then I told myself, okay. I went and finished at the embassy, went back home. And the next couple of days, I spent time trying to think, what are those skills that I have? How can I start accelerating and bringing them to the marketplace with all my energy? So that way, if I get another job again and I get laid off, I'm not going to be desperate for no job anymore. And this might not necessarily work for everybody, but I'm just telling you that in the time we are living, guys, you have to be ready for those circumstances. And yes, after that, I came back from laying my dad to rest. I applied, I got another job as a Scrum Master. I started making good money again, right? Double six figure. But you know what? A year and a half in that job, I get a call again. I said, sorry, we are cutting down on our staff. We're running down on the budget. Actually, the director who hired me for that job, they let her go. And when they let her go about a year after, I knew my time was coming. But this time around, I was more prepared. This time around, I was more prepared. This time around, I had started writing books. This time around, I had started selling my skills, my knowledge, and my experience. This time around, I started getting clients who will pay me to coach them. This time around, I told myself I will not be caught unready. Guys, and I want you to understand these things, because it is going to happen for you. If it hasn't happened to you yet, understand that it is going to happen. The key thing, are you going to be ready? Are you going to have alternatives? That is why when you are working, you have to make sure you are investing at least 20% of your income. If you are older, if you are past 30 years old, it has to be 25% if it's possible. You know why? Because those investments you invest in index funds, the investments you invest in the stock market, in buying shares of proven companies, the investments you invest in buying pieces of land, those things are going to come in handy, especially in this time. So until the next time, be well, be blessed, and by all means, share this video with your friends and family. If you haven't followed me yet on Facebook, please do that. I'm also on YouTube. Join me, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where I share a lot of more detailed content, long form content. I talk about investing. I talk about building wealth with real estate. I talk about finding your purpose. I talk about building a legacy. I talk about life-changing stuff. Until the next time, be well, be blessed, and by all means, never stop being a blessing to somebody. Bye for now, guys.